Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us for NFL Draft Day. As you can see, Junior and I are dressed in our NFL apparel and we're ready to go on this. We are going to be talking about the 10 top players in this draft class, as well as, projected, as well as the 10 teams that are drafting first and where we think some of these players are going to land. Junior, are you ready?
Let's
go! All right, here we go, Junior. Jumping right in, we got NFL Draft Day here. Okay, so the top 10 players in the draft, we got obviously the well-touted for 3 years now. Probably could have went pro even last year, potentially. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, Kyle Pitts, Penei Sewell, and Jamar Chase, and then Trey Lance at the quarterback position, rounding that off. So do you want to touch on these at all, or you want to go right into the teams?
Well, we kind of looked at 5 different mock drafts for this, so that's why you're going to get the series of numbers next there. So obviously outside the first 2, so 1, 2, and 4 really seem locked up. I think there's a lot of kind of varying choices in terms of where Justin Fields is going to go. Yeah. Obviously, a bit of those legal troubles has kind of pushed him into kind of a no man's land. I don't see Mac Jones slipping down to 19. But I would say in this draft, especially the top 20 guys, you pick one of those top 20 talents, you're going to get a good piece. But with the draft, I think what you have to do is stop looking at what your needs are, and in the top 10, just draft for talent.
Just draft the best player,
the best player available.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay, so let's take a look at the team here. So we got Jacksonville, who's got the first pick here. Do you want to talk about some of the needs and then the free agents in and out real quick?
Yeah, so obviously the biggest need they have is quarterback, and with their first overall pick, which I think is happening right now,
yes,
they should be taking Trevor Lawrence, the worst kept secret in NFL draft history. Now, in terms of what they've lost, they haven't lost much, but they've also brought in a lot. So they've addressed some of their issues that they've got. Yeah. I still think they're going to need a very stout offensive line to protect Lawrence. So they do have a pretty decent line, but they're going to need to get better. Because as you can see with Lawrence, he's a very mobile quarterback, so you don't want him getting chased out of the pocket and sacked for a loss or whatever. So they're going to need to increase there. So they have a ton of picks too. So if they can address
and a lot of early picks too. A lot of early picks here.
I mean, you're talking about 4 in the top 45. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Jacksonville, it's safe to say I think Jacksonville's going to look pretty nice next year. And Trevor Lawrence, this is a no doubt. You got to draft this kid no matter what you do. Been touted for the last 3 years, like we mentioned. Coming off that shoulder surgery, but doesn't seem to be an issue with him, and he's real young. So his rehab apparently has been very good.
Well, his was lights out.
Yeah, exactly. So moving along here. The Jets had the second pick. Talk about the needs, and then just quickly about the changes they had in the offseason here.
They're a team that's kind of stuck in the middle, but that's Jets football. You're either good on one side of the ball and horrible on the other, or you're in the middle on both. I mean, they gave up a league worst in terms of net points. I mean, their defense was atrocious, like Lions territory, and I'm a Lions fan, and we've got a pretty bad defense, but the Jets were pretty bad too. Yeah. Outside of the obvious needs, I think the Jets need to start building with some kind of focus, because they seem to be all over the place.
Yeah.
Now, bringing in a guy like Zach Wilson after what's been going on the last week with the quarterback roulette, I mean, it's tough to see where all these pieces are going to fit. But I think taking Zach Wilson is just that thing. You're taking the second best player available in the draft, so you can never fault the team for doing that. But they've got a lot of needs on the corners. They need a lot of linebacker help, and it's not going to get solved this draft. I mean, they do have some pretty high picks after the second. They're 23 and 34, so they've got three picks in the top 35, which again is pretty good for a bad team. But if you're a bad team, you should have 3 picks in the top 35 picks.
Yeah, exactly. This Zach Wilson, I think, will be an obvious pick for them at number 2. Let's move on to my team, San Francisco. Of course, got the greatest wide receiver of all time.
That's the only jersey other than Montana that you should have.
Hall of Famer? Yeah, no kidding, eh? Okay, so San Francisco, the Niners, they had the third pick. We're projecting Mac Jones. Do you want to talk about some of their other needs? It seems like it's a QB. You're going to go after the QBs in these NFL drafts. That's three QBs in a row for us. Talk about a little bit about Mac Jones and then the in and outs here.
Mac Jones is a phenomenal talent. I mean, taking him with the third pick, you're not doing yourself wrong. But my only concern here is if that deal between Garoppolo, the reported deal between Garoppolo going to New England, if that contract can get worked out, breaks down, and now you've got Garoppolo and you're bringing in, the bonus dollars and the contract dollars on a Mac Jones, a quarterback, third overall, pretty high. So you're already investing a crap ton into him, and if you can't get something worked out with that, I mean, Belichick is a genius, so he could literally be holding San Fran right now. So
to pull Rodgers.
I think Rodgers is probably going to go, somewhere else. I don't think it'll be San Fran. But I could see him holding the market up right now on this, just so he can take, one of those quarterbacks who are kind of on the fringe, like a Fields, where there's a lot of uncertainty around him. But if he can sneak in with the 15 and grab him because he held up San Fran and San Fran screwed up, he does that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't put it past him. But outside of that, they've got a decent running game. Young mobile quarterback will definitely help get that better. The defense is still pretty decent. They need to change a few pieces here and there. And outside of that, just bulk up that offensive line, and they should be in pretty good position. I mean, they're not far removed from competing for the Super Bowl, so it's not like this team is in shambles. They've still got some pretty good pieces there.
They were there a couple years ago, right? I mean, Jimmy G's just been it's been a terrible experience having him on the team. That contract is absolutely horrible. I don't know if it's like 170 over 70. I mean, just an atrocious contract. But let's see what they do. And
it's also funny to see a team that's 6-10 picking third overall, but that's what happens when you trade picks in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
You might trade it to someone else, and they might trade that first overall to somebody else who's decent, and they end up getting not even a Hail Mary, but like a handed talent, like for nothing. So,
yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's move on here to the Atlanta Falcons with the 4th seed. They were 4-2 last year. We have the mock pick with Kyle Pitts, tight end from Florida. What do you think about Kyle Potts and then the in and outs of this team?
Pitts is an animal.
Big
body. This guy's going to pull down his fair share of 50-50 balls. So you can't go wrong with that, but I think they need to be looking more towards the future. You've got a guy there in Julio Jones who's not happy as they've been dismantling this team over the last couple of years. They got to start looking towards that quarterback because Matt Ryan is not going to be doing this forever. He's getting old, long in the tooth now. And I think that's might be where their focus would be better set in terms of looking at a quarterback with that first overall pick. And then, because I mean, tight ends, you can pick up a decent tight end in free agency. You don't need to draft one unless it's with the 35th overall pick, and you've got just the best guy available just happens to be a tight end. But to spend a top 5 pick on a tight end, I mean, Pitts is like phenomenal. So I can't say anything bad about his talent, but I think that they would be better set using this pick in a different area.
Yeah, I agree. And they don't have a lot of picks kind of really early on. They got a couple there, 3 in the top 70. But let's take a look at the Bengals here. Okay, 4-11. I mean, Cincinnati, some challenges there. We have the mock pick with Penei Sewell from Oregon. What do you like about him, and then how do you see him if he does get drafted to the Bengals? How that feels with their current team.
Yeah, they got Joe Burrow under center, and they need to protect him. So Penei is a huge man, very big body, very hard to move. Guy's very tough. If you watched any of his tape in Oregon, you see he's got great hands, he's got speed, very high IQ. So to be able to take a guy like this to basically protect the investment of Joe Burrow, then I think that would make sense for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Love to see what happens with this one. Moving along here to the Dolphins from Miami. They got the 6th pick, and the mock pick we have at Jamar Chase, wide receiver from LSU. What do you think about the Dolphins if they get him at the 6th pick?
I think with Tua there, he needs more weapons. They brought in Fuller from Houston, who's
Yeah.
a very good depth guy. I think they need a bit more. So by going after Jamar Chase, who is a NFL ready wide receiver, very quick, good hands,
Great hands, yeah.
speed out the box. So that's what they need to do this. That's their address. And again, you look at this, a 10-16 drafting 6th overall.
6, 18, 36, 50. They got some players
got a
to
lot
come
of
to
picks.
this team, so that's really good for them, and hopefully they can get a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving along here, Detroit Lions, your team. Okay, they gave up league worst 519 points, 511. It was a tough season for them last year.
Yeah.
I got a mock pick at Micah Parsons from Penn State. What do you like about the left back?
He's a great linebacker, Micah. They have far more pressing needs than a linebacker. Like everything. That the trades, and they did get they did get a linebacker through a trade from the Rams.
Yeah.
But this team is going to look very different next year without Stafford. That's a guy who bled the colors of his team. That Kerry blue, he bled it, and it's going to be definitely different to see Goff under center. But with that said, there is a lot of talent here. There's still a lot of talent on this team, but when you're losing Galladay and Agnew and Jones, you've lost most of your weapons, your deep threats, and they need more. I don't think Perriman is going to be a guy to answer the call, or Raymond, probably practice squad. Williams is actually going to add a lot of good depth behind there. So this team needs to start running the ball more. That's the only problem. They haven't ran the ball well
since Barry Sanders.
Since this guy. So you get a guy that can run the ball. That's a threat every time the ball is snapped to run. That's going to open up the field for Goff. And listen, Goff's a great quarterback. This could be a really good setup for him. I think Stafford's going to be very set up well, in LA. But, I think right now they need to look at the best talent available. It doesn't matter where it is. If it is Micah, then take him. But if you get, I don't know, if you get Pitts to fall here, if you get Devonta Smith here, you take the best talent. It doesn't matter what they're at. You work things that you need to. If you got to trade, you trade. If you got to overpay, you overpay. But if you want to get your team better, it's not going to be drafting each position you need each year, because that's going to take you 30 years to get your team better.
There's no silver bullet like it would be, drafting a guy into the NBA and he's going to score you 30 points a game or whatever the case is, right? It's a different monster, yeah.
There's more busts in the NFL draft than anywhere else in any other sport. So
and the shortest career of players historically, right?
Exactly.
3 to 5 years, it tends to be the average. Okay, so moving along here, Carolina Panthers. Trey Lance we have projected here, quarterback from NDSU. The Panthers went 5-11, same like Detroit here. What do you like about Trey Lance? Maybe getting picked here around this 8th position.
It's kind of underrated. Great arm, great IQ. Works pretty well in any kind of system. I think it would be a good fit for them.
Okay.
Now, my only issue is they were a part of this whole quarterback carousel that's been going on for the last little while. So again, you're in that spot where you're drafting a quarterback when you just exerted talent to get a quarterback. So I don't really know sometimes with these NHL GMs in terms of where their thought process is and what they're doing. I think that they could definitely utilize a wide receiver, or you got McCaffrey there. You got to take some pressure off him. You got to get the ball out somewhere, and you need some more talent on the wings. And then your defense too needs some help. So, I mean, drafting a quarterback when you don't need one, when you just traded for one, doesn't make sense to me. But again, I'm not an NFL GM, so perhaps if I was, I'd be the best. But anyway, I digress.
Okay, so moving along to the Broncos from Denver here. They got the pick at 9, Justin Fields. Again, another quarterback here from Ohio State. Denver doesn't have a lot of things to really address here in terms of their team, but they still were 5-11. What do you think about this?
Whoever gets picked here, it's going to be an absolute dumpster fire. Elway, I don't even think Elway knows what he's doing most days. They have a ton of money. Quarterback is one, but they need to build that defense out better. They need way more tools in terms of offensive talent. So there's just so much work to do here, and I don't know if it's the right spot for Justin Fields to fall into.
Okay.
I don't think they got the right system there for him. So it could definitely, if he ends up going there, it'll be an absolute dumpster fire.
Okay, we'll see what they end up doing here, and then moving on. Dallas Cowboys, America's team, 6-10. Perhaps we have in the mock pick here Patrick Surtain from Alabama. What do you think about that pick for a team like this?
This pick's pretty much locked in. They need defensive help. They're going to get Dak back this year. I don't know if they've got the offensive talent to compete a lot, but if they can get this defense stout, and Surtain is an absolute beast, son of a former player, so it's a good pick. I don't think there's any other pick that they would need to make here.
Okay.
And the pick is in Jacksonville, and why aren't they telling me who did it? Who got picked? Yes, okay. As everyone felt, Trevor Lawrence was drafted first overall.
Yeah, there you go.
And the Jets are on the clock.
Jets are on the clock. What's the clock running at right now?
Too long.
Okay. Just wondered if we could squeeze another one in there. But, okay, so that, I think, wraps us for that draft. Any other final thoughts just kind of on this draft class in general and what the season might look like?
It's probably one of the deeper ones I've seen in the last few years. There's a lot of implications that are going to come out of this draft in terms of people's jobs and people eventually switching teams. I think there's going to be a lot of dominoes that'll fall, a lot of trades that are going to start happening now that this is over. We've got training camp, maybe a little over a week, little under a week away.
Yeah.
So, the season's coming on pretty quickly. So, I'm sure these kids, this is their dream and it's being realized. So, congratulations to everyone who gets taken in the draft. And I look forward to watching you and your career blossom.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us here. We appreciate your attention and feedback as always. So please consider hitting that subscribe button, turning notifications on, liking or commenting on this video, and letting us know what you want to hear from us next. We're all over the place. We actually forgot that it was a little bit of the NFL draft day because we're working on so many different things, but we wanted to go live here today and make sure that we covered it off. Again, we just want to be there for you guys, so please let us know how you feel about us. For everyone here at Offside and Out of Bounds, I'm Adam.
I'm Junior. And we're going to
see you real soon.